Hey guys, it's Wednesday afternoon. We're getting the fenders on the Duramax. I've been working on it since about 11:30 this morning. I had to get up to allegedly salt this morning at about 3 o'clock. And of course the temperature was still 40 degrees outside. It never snowed. It all went south of us. So I couldn't get back to sleep. I watched some videos, uploaded the 4 or 5 segments that I had from yesterday, and ended up taking a nap till about 9:30 this morning, and then came out here and started working. So I've got about 2.5 hours on this fender, and it's as close as it's going to get. Yeah, pretty tight gap right there, but if we look at the other side that hasn't been changed yet, we're only slightly better than that. So I am going to tweak these fenders a little. We'll put some tape over some paint paddles, and we'll open the door and we'll shove them in there and work them a little bit and sort of finesse that. It doesn't have any contacts in it. The hood gap is about the same as the other factory side until you get up to here, and then we're a little funky. We're a little high. I'm going to try and get it up a little bit more before I put primer and paint on this side and do that body work, but I'm going to jump over to the other side. One thing we've got here, the fender corner is actually lower than the hood, which would, I guess, mean that it needs to come this way. But I don't even have the bolts inside the door tightened down, because when I tighten the ones down that come in from this way, it makes it contact the door. So I'm going to have to shim that so that I can actually tighten those bolts. But we look at this side, which hasn't been messed with. This is a factory fender, and the hood's still up higher on this side. So I can adjust the hood latch or bump stops down a little bit to fix that. But this is still a pretty big damn gap. I mean, it really is. And if anybody can tell me out there that has done these GM truck hoods before, is there a way I can adjust that hood down a little bit, or the fender up a little bit to meet it? Because, excuse me, sinuses are going nuts. So what we've got here, let me pop the hood and show you guys, because we're already tight. And this is not a matter of drilling bigger holes or elongating holes to make an aftermarket fender fit. Herein lies the problem that I'm running into. It's not a huge problem, and I'll live with the gaps if I have to, but I wanted to make them a little nicer. The fender really needs to come up a little, but those 2 bolts bolt that to a plate inside there, and I'm wondering if that whole plate can come up. I see these 2 bolts. Let me get a flashlight. There's 2 bolts back in there, and I'm wondering, they're kind of awkward to get to, but I know I could figure something out to get in there to those 2. Can I adjust the height of that fender mounting point with those 2 bolts there? Inquiring minds would like to know. If that be the case, then bringing the fender up 1/8 of an inch is going to fix my problems. You can say, oh, that fender doesn't match up there, but again, look at the factory one. We'll close the door, and you can be the judge. I mean, we're talking a good 1/4 to 3/8 difference in the height of that to up on that corner. So, I mean, there's only so much you get out of it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'd like it better than it is. The thing that's really aggravating me is that hood gap when this hood's closed between here and here. So if those 2 little bolts there can be loosened and brought up, so I could, what I was doing, I was taking a block of wood and putting right here and put a bottle jack in here and holding it where I wanted it. Doing this job by myself, I'm doing one side at a time. I'm not peeling the hood off because the hood pivot is right there, and then the hood spring bolts to the inner fender, which all in all, these aren't that hard to change. and having the old or the new ones sitting on the bench, I was able to sort of guesstimate where my bolts were going to be. So I think I tackled the easy side first because you've got a cross member up here, a little support for the fender. Let's just call it a fender support. The electrical center, the other battery, and this strut, which isn't a huge deal. There's just a lot of wiring over here. I've got my snowplow isolation module zip tied to that, and we've got a brace right there, which you're not going to be able to see too well. Word to the wise, I wasn't thinking earlier. I tried to close the hood just a little bit to remove the bolt for the spring, and I forgot how much spring tension is on those, so I smacked a nice blood blister in my finger right there. But you know, it's another day at the shop, you know, whatever. So there's a plastic inner fender tubs, and what I'm going to do, just like we talked before, I'll leave that fender tub out. I already started to scuff this inner area, and I'm going to back mask this whole area after the fender's painted, and that's going to get rhino lined. I'm just going to blast over it. That should be marvelous. I think I need to change my fuel filter. That's a 1-year-old fuel filter. Isn't that beautiful? I usually change them about every 6 months, but this truck sat a little bit last winter, so it corroded up pretty good there. So anyway, that's where I'm at. The reason I'm not making you watch me do this is because that was 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours, you know, elapsed time, start to finish. Actual time was a little shorter, but it really, I guess for a lack of a better way to put it, it wasn't PG-13 rated. It got a little ugly, so we decided to not flip the camera on for that, and I knew it would. I've mounted these fenders on older trucks before that fit even worse than these, where you're taking a unibit and you're taking a hole like this, and you're doubling at least the size of the hole so you can get your adjustment. I'm not having that problem right now because these have alignment holes in them, and that's actually lining up nice. The problem I think I have run into, and I don't think it's really shoved back much. I might pour the power on it a little bit and see if I can jerk this core support forward. I did hit a deer about 4 years ago, and I tweaked this fender a little bit, but it mostly hit the bumper and rolled off the side. It didn't even really dent the fender, it actually just moved it, and I was actually able to straighten it without doing any paint work to it. It just wasn't that bad. But what I'm wondering is, did this core get smacked back 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch? Because that 1/4 of an inch will be everything in this job. If that's the case, you can loosen. Let's go over and look at this side. But it's going to change where these bolts go back here if I slide this whole assembly forward, so we may not do that either. But yeah, if I did that, I would gain a little bit of gap here, which I don't need much. I mean, we're literally talking less than 1/8 of an inch is what I need. So, you know, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll loosen those 2 bolts right here, and maybe I'll pour the power in between, put a board across the firewall and pour the power this out just a tiny bit, and then see how that goes. We'll see. That's getting a little extreme. I really don't think it's tweaked. I think it's just the Japanese fenders or Taiwan fenders, whatever, and they don't fit awesome to begin with. I mean, our gaps gets real wide in the center and then closes in at the top, so we go from 1/4 to almost 3/8 in the middle, and then down to real tight at the bottom. And it's just the nature of these trucks, evidently. Alright, just wanted to give you guys an update. I'm going to start pulling this stuff out, so we'll give you a progress update, I guess, later. Unfortunately, no how-to today. Alright, there's the driver's side. It fits about as good as the factory one on this side. don't know what the hell's wrong with the passenger one. Maybe it got stamped in a different grass hut, so oh well. Yeah, this one fits actually a little bit better than the factory fender the way I have it here. I'm almost level with the hood. The hood still sits higher than this fender and it did on the other one. There's got to be a way to fix that without beating down the edge of the hood. But this is all about samey same. I'm going to tweak a little bit more on them, but like an idiot, I got excited and this one was fitting so good. I forgot to, there's a couple of U-clips that came off of this fender and I forgot to put them back on this one, so I'm going to have to fight those things in there so I can bolt the back of the fender up. But neither one of them, there's one bolt that's down in there, neither one of them will line that up. So I'm going to have to use an alignment punch. There's an alignment hole there and I'm going to have to fight it or drill it, one of the two. I just wanted to put the done stamp on this side and get it as close as I could tonight. I gotta fight with a little bit because this isn't quite right, but that gap is about the same as the factory gap. It got real wide in through here, but that's a little wider than I wanted at the bottom. The problem is that's as far in as the fender will go. I think I can tweak this out a little bit and beat it in a little bit farther and tighten it down and it'll be okay. So I got to tweak that. My height is about right here. I could come up just a touch, maybe 1/8 of an inch, and I can actually cheat this up and make this work. Okay, but I'm going to do all my other adjustments before I go tweaking metal to make the gap work right. And this, I've got to bring this fender out toward the front of the truck a little bit. But yeah, this huge gap, that really aggravates me, but I just don't know any way to make that fender get closer to the hood because the hood bolts to it. So it must be just a matter of where that hinge is actually, the pivot point is right here. It must need to be a little lower. I can try putting some tape on that and beating that down because it is covered, so if I scuff it you won't see it. That's one thought, but I'm still real frickin' tight right there. So I'm still going to try and get those bolts loosened on the inside and see if I can jack that thing forward. Maybe I'll let you guys watch that since I've made it this far. I could use a little support. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be probably a combination of open end wrench and socket or whatever I can get in there. I might have to make a tool. I'm sure the tool truck has one, but I don't. So we're going to go get the camera stand here and see if I can keep the profanity level to a minimum. Driver's side, despite all the accessory stuff inside, actually went on easier because I knew kind of how it was going to go and I didn't get too excited with it. So let's see what we can do. Do. Managed not to scrape the hell out of the hood without taping it, so that's a plus. Let's see, those were 13 mil. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if I can weasel a socket in there. I can't, but I might be able to get it with a swivel. One of them that way. Maybe. I can't get on it. So Maybe I'll just tackle this tomorrow because I am getting a little fussy here. Yep. Boy, that's just almost need an offset 13 millimeter. I really hate to cannibalize a wrench because I don't have that many junk wrenches to do that with. But let's see what we can come up with. Like I'm in luck. I got a wrench we can cannibalize. Put a little bend on it. Move the garbage can and the flammable. All that paper out of the way here. Check it. I don't want to overbend it if I don't have to. Oh, wow, those are not even that tight. Alright, we're going to cool this thing off so I don't burn the shit out of myself. You guys are not going to be able to see that. That camera stand is not tall enough. I don't know, we might be able to fight that socket in there. Boy, is that just a real tight fit. I have to do it with a wrench. One way or the other. I just don't want to slip off this thing and smash my knuckles. bit more bend on that, we might be able to make that work. Going to be a provocative situation. The other one did not seem to be very tight, so not very tight at all. Before I go any farther, I just tapped that fender, so let me put a piece of tape on that. I need to be nicking up the edges of this stuff. I cut my fingernails yesterday and I can't pull tape. Okay, that should do that. Didn't take much to loosen it. I'm wondering if there's a reason for that. That whole fender just moved. Now it's touching the door. Alright. See if we can pull it this direction. Or maybe it needs to go up. Maybe that's more of the story. We shall see. I'm definitely not the pro at putting these fenders on, so you guys are seeing this one firsthand. I've never had a Silverado fender off. At least nothing this new. The old 80s ones. Done my share of those, but basically got this bottle jack right here, and we're going to set it on the tire just so I have another set of hands pushing, trying to do what I want it to do. If I can get it where I want it, it'll hold it. Push too hard here, but because we can run a chance of buckling that fender. Nope, it's not going to do it. It's not doing what I want it to do. Got that piece of tape there, and that's right where she was touching. And we'll fool with this for a little while, and we'll call this the end of today's video. I have no idea how long this will take, but I'll bring you back if I get